Get to know the person. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. If you were out just no sales background, anything, you're going to ask them questions about themselves, how they got to where they are now. Nothing should change, even though you're in a position to potentially sell them a product. Get to know the person, because at the end of the day, you don't know if you guys would be a good fit. Get to know the person, and then the business will come. Every time I meet with someone, I'm going to ask them kind of their origin story, why they got here, why they're sitting in this seat with me, and just those really deep cut questions that I think are important, and I think other people should think are important as well.
Welcome back to the Art of Connecting podcast. This is your host here, Hayden Fike, back with another great guest for us today. Today we have Kohl Henke coming on the show with us. And Kohl is someone that I've been very excited to have on the podcast for quite some time. When I first started my networking journey, I connected with someone named Jay Floyd. This was very early career of cold DMing people on LinkedIn. And Jay was like, you need to meet Kohl Henke. He's my insurance guy. He's young like you, and he's awesome. We ended up not getting connected for some reason. And then I met him at a BNI meeting for a second, and then we ended up not getting connected. And then my friend Austin connected us, and I was like, we need to go and sit down and meet each other because I keep hearing your name over and over. And we did, and that birthed a lot of really cool stuff. Kohl, I'm honored to have you on the show today. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, so let's get rolling. Let's hear a little bit of your story. Tell me about who Kohl Henke is.
Yeah. So Chattanooga born and raised, self-proclaimed chat rat, as I like to tell people. So how I got into the industry I'm in now, went to UTC, played football there, grew up in Chattanooga, went to Boyd Buchanan before that. When I was at UTC, had an opportunity with a financial advisor here in Chattanooga. My dad set me up with that relationship. That really blossomed into something amazing. The name of this podcast, Connecting, Brad, the guy I worked with, connected me with the agency owner I'm with now, and haven't looked back. Been in the insurance game for about a year and a half now. Used connections to get into the industry I'm in now and try to use them every day to sell more policies.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's interesting is when we first met, we didn't once talk about insurance.
Yep.
Tell me about when you're meeting someone new, how do you go into that new relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And that's something so we have a couple of new sales guys that are on the team right now. And one of the things that I try to harp into them is get to know the person. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you're talking to another person. If you were out just no sales background, anything, you're going to ask them questions about themselves, how they got to where they are now. Nothing should change, even though you're in a position to potentially sell them a product. Get to know the person, because at the end of the day, you don't know if you guys would be a good fit. So I've always been of the kind of thought process, get to know the person, and then the business will come. Every time I meet with someone, I'm going to ask them kind of their origin story, why they got here, why they're sitting in this seat with me, and just those really deep cut questions that I think are important, and I think other people should think are important as well.
Yeah. So when you're going to meet a new person, how do you start that conversation?
Yeah. So usually I'll DM them or call them, say, hey, I saw that we are in complementary industries that might be able to help each other. Let's go get some coffee, get some lunch, and just really get to know each other. And as soon as we sit down, introduce myself. Hey, my name's Kohl. You originally from the area? Just goes from there, because a lot of things can spin off of those really open-ended questions. Hey, are you guys from here? Are you married? Any kids? How'd you get into the industry? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Just general stuff like that. And then I find it getting into something just extraordinarily deep and really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say your goals are going for the next 2 years?
Yeah. So one of my goals that I've tried to maintain, there's a certain book size that I want to get to for insurance. So that exact number, I want to have a $40 million premium book. Right now I've been trying to structure it with property investors, mainly a little bit of personal lines, a little bit of other commercial, but $40 million book is that number that I want to get to, and that target that I'm aiming for a productive production perspective. Yeah.
Okay. And where do you sit right now?
So right now I'm at about 2 million.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So you want to, I'm not good at math, what, 20X?
20X.
I like it.
Yeah.
Not 10, 20. Obviously you're a natural connector. Whenever I hear someone's name over and over as I'm meeting new people, those are the people who I know, like, these are the connectors. Because I'm reading a book called The Tipping Point right now. Have you read that before?
I haven't.
Okay, The Tipping Point is this recommended to me by Ted Bertucca, who came and spoke to the mastermind group that I had planned an event for. And someone asked what the most impactful book he had read was, and it was A Tipping Point. And it's a really interesting book because it talks about how every epidemic, which is could it's not necessarily sickness, it could be like a fad of shoes, or could be a city improving. Every epidemic has a tipping point, and the key player in those tipping points are the connectors, the mavens, and the salesmen. And if you've got a connector, I haven't finished the book yet. I'm like halfway through. If you have a connector and a maven together, which I think is how I fit, as I was listening, I was
Mhm.
like, "That's me."
Yeah.
That's like the start to the key of a tipping point, but also a salesman is really important in that too. And if you can be a connector and a salesman, it's like there's like the trifecta. The so I think of you as being the connector and the salesman when I think of those definitions. I don't know where I was going with that. I really don't. But I know what I was going to say. What are some of your favorite books that you've read?
Favorite books? So
Yeah.
right now, funny enough, we were talking about the 20X. We're listening to 10X, not 2X. Or 10X is easier than 2X, I think is what it's called.
Who's that one by again?
It blanks my mind. I should know that
It's
because I was listening to it literally this
it's the
morning.
same people as Who Not How, right?
Yeah, it's the same
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
But it's a great book. Talks about how, if you're going of the 2X mindset, you're essentially just working twice as hard. But
Mm.
if you want a 10X, then you have to completely scrap everything and implement more processes, go after completely new kinds of business, depending on what industry you're in, and just really reshaping the format that you do everything. If you want a 2X, just work twice as hard. If you want a 10X, scrap it. And it's been really cool to walk through that, especially going into this new year. The agency that I'm with, we're setting some really ambitious goals as well for myself that we're going to have to 10X to hit those. So it's been really cool to align that book with the new year coming.
Nice. And so tell me about how you decided on the industry that you're in.
Yeah. So how I decided on the industry I was in, going back to my origin story, if you will, with financial planning. That was what I did while I was playing college football. I worked at school and played football. So while I was playing football, I worked part-time for a financial planning firm called BD Planning Partners. And Brad Burcham, who's one of the partners over there, he had gotten me into the industry, took me under his wing. He's really like a mentor to me as well. He's a really big investor here in the Chattanooga area too. But what had happened was he set me down about 6 months out from the decision point, really, when I graduated from college, and said, "Hey, here's the deal. You can either do financial planning, or I have a really good friend named Keith Rocha. He's in the commercial investor insurance space, and I think you could kill it either way." So went back and forth with it, and I knew that the other partner at BD Planning, Tim Daniel, his son was getting into financial planning about the same time I was going to. That really sparked an idea. I was like, hey, instead of being in the same office and quote unquote competing, I'll just get into this complementary industry and then we can work together instead of working against each other.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your business partner slash mentor
Yeah.
had a son.
Yep.
Tell me about how you came to that decision to work with him and what that relationship looks like.
Yeah. So we were really close. So there for a little bit, he graduated high school a year before I did. So it's technically not getting into it the exact same time I did. It was about a 8th-month gap. In that 8th-month gap, he was quote unquote my boss. So he got to teach me a few things. I got to see what was the in and out of financial planning, what it took to be successful in that industry starting out. And I saw him begin that process of connecting people, meeting with people. As soon as he met with someone, hey, who do you find value from? Let me connect you with them. And then it always, time and time again, came back to him. And then he was able to start off really hot those first 8 months. And he's just been continuing to kill it. He's been in the industry for about 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. And he is well far on his way to being just ultra successful financial planner.
And I know personally, I've experienced this. So
Yeah.
I met you, and I'd love to talk about this because as soon as we met, you were in your car, you were driving, you sent me a video, and you
Yep.
connected me to several people. Tell me about what kind of is going through your brain after you meet someone and what kind of connections you want to make for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those kind of things we were just talking about with the what am I thinking about? What am I asking people while I'm meeting with them? And one of those key questions is where do you find business from? Like, depending on the industry, who is it that's most valuable to you that I could introduce you to? I have a pretty decent sized Rolodex now that I've been in the industry for a year and a half, just generally meeting with people, lenders, real estate agents, investors, that residential pool as well as the commercial too. So I know who I want to connect them with before I even meet with them. So I ask them, hey, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy that knows this guy? And then as soon as I hop in the car, I've found that the best way to communicate with people in a group message, I used to do the whole type out the message and stuff, but it's so much more powerful. I'll just put the phone in front of my face, start the camera, and roll a video message. One of my close friends, Asher Black, who's a real estate agent, he uses that for his clients that he's listing their house. And I was like, let's use this same thing, but instead of trying to solicit someone, use it to connect people. Because it's so personal.
Yeah.
They see you, both of them see you. It just makes that connection so much better because you can take it wherever you want. You don't have to type anything out. You're just talking.
Yeah.
It's so much more natural. And that's my preferred platform of connecting people. But to get to that point of knowing who to connect them with, just depends on the industry. You know, if they're a property investor, I'm going to connect them with property owners that I know that probably have some stuff they want to offload. If it's a lender, I'm going to connect them with a real estate agent and they kind of connect them with a lender, or maybe some people that I know that are looking to buy or looking to flip.
And by doing that, you're bringing value beyond what your trade is.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things whenever I'm looking in my industry, the big thing is having a referral partner. So whenever I'm meeting with a real estate agent or a lender, hey, how are you different from ABC insurance company? As soon as we leave this meeting, I'm going to connect you with all of my people that are going to be able to bring you more deals. Not only am I going to help you close your deal, but I'm going to bring you so many more through all the connections I'm. So it's just that value that no one else tries to add. And that's immediately what I'm thinking of. Cause I'm like, if I show up to a meeting and I have my hands out, then I'm probably not going to get anything in return. But if I just give, I know that it's going to come back because it has time and time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up another book that I love was The Go-Giver.
Yep.
Every time I tell anyone about what my philosophy is, they're like, have you read The Go-Giver? I'm like, yeah, that's what I try to do every day. It's where I aspire to be. I love it. Tell me about the industry of commercial insurance. Do you enjoy what you do every day? What does a day-to-day look like in Kohl Henke's life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So insurance is one of those things that everyone has to have. It's not necessarily the most exciting all the time, but there's ways in the industry that you can make it exciting. And one of those ways that I made it exciting for myself was I sat down whenever I first got in the industry and I was like, hey, what do I enjoy outside of insurance? I know I enjoy being around real estate agents and lenders because my dad was a real estate agent. I grew up around that sphere of the house buying process. And now I'm around a lot of investors and getting into the investing game myself. That's the life I want to shape. So let me just structure my industry to be better for that. Because if I'm writing policies for property investors, I'm probably going to be one of the first ones to hear about a deal when it comes up because they're going to unadd it from their insurance policy. So it's one of those things, there's a certain life that I want to structure. So let me structure my industry around that to where it, comes a little quicker, I guess is the best way to articulate that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so what does a day typically look like for you?
Yeah. So typically every single morning, I'm a huge believer in when your body's right, your mind's right. I work out every single morning religiously, 6 a.m. CrossFit. As soon as I get done with 6 a.m. CrossFit, go to the office, do my quiet time. It's another thing. Love Jesus. He's my Lord and Savior. Got to get it in every single morning. Then I'm ready to work. Usually about 7:45, I'm already responding to emails, getting ready for the day to start, and a little bit of planning here and there that I haven't done the day before. So all the emails came overnight, gonna start with those and then begin reaching out at 10:30 and trying to set meetings. And from there, we'll probably have 2 hours of reach out and then we'll finish up some quotes and then anything else that needs my attention, I'll give that some attention.
So what time do you usually finish up?
It depends. I've been trying to do a little bit better. A lot of people in the office have been telling me that I work too much. No wife, no kids. I want to get after it early. So I would say usually 6:30 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll go home and just pop something on Netflix or go work out again, which I need to not work out as much too, is what I've been told.
Yeah, you gotta. So something that I got recommended by people because I've been in several industries where it's really easy to just go balls to the walls and go forever is you have to be careful about burnout.
Yep.
Because too much of anything can be bad.
Yep.
and it can lead you to loathe the thing you love
Hmm.
if you get too much of something, I feel like. You mentioned your meeting setting portion. I want to dive into that a little bit. What does that look like? How do you figure out who you want to meet with? How do you get in front of those people and get them to show up?
Yeah, 100%. So it's funny you asked that. So it's the same exact thing I do whenever I'm connecting people. I'm a huge believer. I was never a big fan of the cold call. I'll do it if it's necessary. It's all about finding the platform that people like to be reached out to the most. But I found it the most intentional. If I'm a friend with you on Facebook, then I'll do it this way. If I have your phone number, I'll do it this way. If I have your Facebook, I'll do it this way. But I'm going to send you a video message. I'm going to send you a video message and tell you exactly how I think I can provide value to you, why I think we should go get some coffee. Really high response rate. If you don't respond to a video message, you probably seem like you're a dick or something. The response rate is really uncanny. Someone can see a number they don't know on the phone and easily click decline. But if they see a phone number come through and then there's a video attached to it, they're probably going to watch it. And whenever they watch it and they see that it's really intentional, trying to provide value to them, they'll probably respond. And when they respond, it'll probably be, hey, sure, let's go get some coffee or get some lunch. I would love to get to know you more, because someone who does something like that's probably someone I want or need to know.
Yeah. So how do you decide who to reach out to?
Yeah. So what I've niched into is property investors. Anybody that I've heard about from someone, hey, this guy owns XYZ property. He's a part of this LLC. I do a lot of tax assessor searches for LLCs, find the members, have some databases that I can go onto to find who's the decision maker for the LLC. So try to niche into property investors as heavily as I can, either through the real estate agent, through the lender, or seeing, hey, they just posted on their Facebook that they just bought this 30 unit. I'm going to reach out to them.
So let's do a little scenario here
Yeah.
for our listeners so they can, I'm sure you do this in sales training all
Yeah.
the time. So someone just bought that 30 unit
Yep.
on Facebook.
Yep.
You don't know them.
Mhm.
You're not friends with them on Facebook. What does that look like? So what is your first step? And
Yep.
then can you run me through like the video that you would send that person?
100%. So I would see that they bought this 30 unit. I would probably look at the address to make sure that it actually makes sense for me to pursue, because that's another thing that I've been trying to go do a little bit better coming on January 24 is not seeing everything as an opportunity. Obviously everything is an opportunity, but I'm going to be more intentional on what I go after, because in reality, I can't help everybody. So I want to go after those people I know that I most likely can help. Still, sometimes I can't, but for the most part, I can if I've done my due diligence, my underwriting per se, before I reach out to someone. So I'm going to look at the property, and then I'm going to somehow get their phone number, whether it be through this link extension I have on LinkedIn, via Facebook. But whenever I send them the video, for example, let's use your roommate, Dylan. Hey, Dylan, this is Kohl Henke over at Valor Insurance Brokers. I actually represent a property program for property investors just like you. We're about 30% less expensive than a lot of the other carriers out there that are writing apartment complexes like this. I'll be honest, I don't even know if this property qualifies for my program. But what I'd love to do is just sit down and go through those things that might make it eligible for my program and see if there's any way I could provide any value, whether it be through a quote or connecting you with someone that inevitably would just pinball into more deals. Would that offend you in any way? And then just send it and see what happens.
Gotcha. So you are mentioning the product
Yeah.
when you first have a video message to
Yep.
someone.
Depending on where I'm trying to go with it. If I know that they have something that I want to insure, probably. If it's a little different, if I want to reach out to a lender or real estate agent.
What would you say your response rate is on a video message like that?
I would say it's probably about 50 to 60%. It's pretty good, especially whenever I know who I'm going after and they know what I'm going after too. Because a lot of property investors, one of their biggest pain points is insurance. Insurance rates are not going down. If they see, hey, Kohl represents a program that specifically wants to write an apartment complex, I'll at least respond. And a lot of the times it is really good whenever you can connect those pieces. So the carrot's what I call it. There has to be a carrot for every single reach out. Someone's not just going to reach out if you say, hey, my name's Kohl, I'm an insurance agent, da. It doesn't mean anything. There's got to be that carrot that you dangle, whether it be price, hey, I can make you more money. There's got to be something to get that person to give you an hour of their life or 30 minutes of their life for a complete stranger. There's got to be something. So it's not going to, be just a general message. I'm going to mention something that's going to get them to stand up in their chair.
And I also have seen this personally where people have cold DM'd me
Mhm.
on LinkedIn, and I've responded to them and like, this is not very personal.
Yeah, yeah.
There was someone one time that cold DM'd me, and I was like, at the time I was also cold DMing
Mhm.
people trying to get them to meet. And it was literally just like, "Hey, are you looking for a website?
Yeah,
We do website design." And I responded, because I usually just ignore them. And I was like, "Where's the value for me?
yeah.
This is all about you."
Mhm.
And they responded back and they were salty, and then they blocked me. And I just laughed because I was like, every cold message that I would send, it was nothing about the service that I was selling at that point. It was all about, "Hey, I see we're mutually connected with Cole. I would love to go and have coffee with you, because if you're connected with Cole, then you're probably someone I want to talk to."
Mhm.
And that was incredibly successful. I had a 60 to 70% meet rate
Oh, wow.
because I didn't ask for anything.
Yep.
I literally was like, "Hey, I'm interested in what you do. Your posts are insightful." Or, "I see that you're a property developer. I'm interested in property development. Is there any way I could get some of your time to explore that?" And I wasn't sending video either. It was just type message. And a lot of people are willing to meet with you if you're just humble and you don't come forward with that, like, "I want something from you."
Yep. 100%.
So you use video message as your main medium of
For sure.
finding new people. What are some other methods that you use to meet clients? Do you ask for connections from people that you know?
100%. So that was how I structured my business to begin the whole insurance pipeline. Was there's kind of two ways to go after it, especially in other common industries like real estate and lenders. You can either find people that are going to send you deals or reach out to the person that's going to have that deal themselves. I was more the thought process. I'm going to create a close relationship with the person that can send me the deal because it's not a dead end. I can provide value to them, they can provide value to me, and it's not just going to stop after one deal. We're going to be able to grow together. We're going to be able to continue to send deals and watch each other's businesses boom instead of it just being a, hey, this is Cole. I can save you money on your auto insurance.
Yeah. And I think I'm sure that success has come to from providing value to those people
Yep.
that can't necessarily even use your services,
Mm-hmm.
but also still saying, "This is not a lost cause. This is a connection. This is a
100%.
person who I can help."
Yep.
So, what does your tracking look like as far as how you track who you're meeting, how you keep up with what their needs are, and how you figure out who to connect them to?
Yeah. So this is probably something that I need to do better at January 24. I'm one of those guys whenever I meet with you, I don't write anything down. I'm just eye contact the entire time, which now that I'm getting to the point of the people caliber that I'm wanting to meet, I need to get better at actually writing that down so I don't forget anybody. But for the most part, that's why I do it so quickly after I'm meeting with someone. Every single video after I connect you with someone's going to be in the car because it's on the mind. It's fresh. I'm driving. I'm not doing anything else. Hey, I just met with Hayden. I want to connect him with him and him. And then from there, it's just, hey, I met this new person. I think Hayden needs to meet them too. They're really cool. So as far as tracking, not too much going on right now, but I need to be more intentional. I know that you have a system that you're trying to implement right now. Probably something I need to do moving forward.
Yeah, it's helpful. It is time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
I use two different systems. I use one called Popl, POPL, and it's my digital business card. So as I meet people, go into networking meetings and traveling to Atlanta tonight to go network with people, I can, if I meet someone that I see potential in it being a partnership or someone that I want to connect to later, I say, "Hey, let me tap my phone on the back of yours," and they get my business card, and that loads it into my light CRM. And then I have a heavier CRM for Monday. It's on monday.com. And I put in everyone's name that goes on Popl. What location are they in? How do we meet? Where did we meet? What do they need? And so I can go in and search, I can search mortgage lender and I'll have a list of 4 people. And it's a slow process because I'm going through my contacts and uploading every single contact and thinking like, who is this person? What do they do again? What do they need? And it's actually a really great exercise if you just do a few a day, because you go through, "Oh, I haven't talked to that person in 2 years. I need to reach out to Becky and say hi." And so I think it's really helpful too to think about, what are the other people that I know need? And that's been cool for me.
100%. Definitely need to utilize some more tracking so that I can be a little bit more intentional, down the road. Hey, I forgot, but I do know this person in this industry. oh, what's their name?
That's not to discount though that you do a wonderful job because again, when you this should be a piece of advice for the audience. If you hear someone's name several times as like someone that you need to meet, make it an intention to go and meet that person.
100%.
Because if you keep hearing the same name over and over, that means that they probably are doing something. That means that just in the small circles that you've been like going into, they have an impact. And if you can get closer to that person that has that impact, it can exponentially expand your network out.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And it's funny because the same thing had happened to me. You mentioned Jay. Jay had mentioned that to me, and I had Austin tell me, and then I forget who it was. That's why I need the CRM. Someone else had told me you need to get connected to Hayden. So it was cool whenever we put those pieces together.
Yeah, I love it, man. And so let's talk about personality wise. Would you say you're an introvert, an extrovert? What does your kind of like past look like on that? Have you always been an extroverted person?
Yes, that's funny. So if you would ask my parents, I was always introverted. I would say whenever I got into high school and started playing football, more of the student athlete, played in college, confidence was gained, I would say, and confidence comes from things that you've done in the past. So whenever I started to build those experiences, that credibility, I was really like, hey, why not me? I can be the guy that goes out and reaches out to someone. I knew that I was able to connect with people really well. So I was like, it's probably be a good thing if I initiated these conversations because not a lot of people are going to do that. And now I would say I'm pretty heavily extroverted, especially with people that I'm familiar with. If I've met you once or seen you once, I'm going to say something to you and have a really intentional conversation with you. So I would say introverted turned extroverted.
And you think, so would you say that change was attributed to doing things to help aid your self confidence? Like, what did that for you? What
Yeah.
helped make that transition? Because I hear a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm an introvert. I can't go do that.
Yeah, I would say kind of part of it. Like I'd mentioned the football. I was very blessed to be able to play college football, had a decent amount of scholarship opportunities. And once I was able to do that, I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I was able to set a goal in seventh grade. I set the goal, hey, I want to play college football. I did that. So I almost had the credibility within my own brain. Hey, if you set a goal, you can go do it. That gave me the confidence boost. Hey, I'm worth getting to know. I'm worth this. I'm worth that. And at the same time, I was a chunkier kid, thinned out a
Me
little
too.
bit. And that, doesn't hurt
Yeah.
whenever you get in shape and begin to work out and everything. So I would say those two things went hand in hand. It's just that stack of undeniable evidence. Hey, Cole is who he says he is. So
Mm,
now share that with other people.
wow. That's awesome. I mean, I know personally, like I've never really struggled with reaching out and talking to people. And so I always try to come at the position of that is not everyone's reality.
Mm.
There are people who feel like they can't go and talk to someone. So, what would you say, like a few pieces of advice you would give to somebody who has that mindset of that identity of I'm an introvert, I can't talk to people? What would you say to those people?
Yeah. And I would say I've had conversations with these people recently, several people that are in our office and several people in my circle, is I didn't know what to say to someone on the phone originally. I practiced, I scripted, I had the questions ready so that whenever I was in the opportunity to use that question, I just had it remembered. So have those questions like I was talking about whenever I'm going to meet with someone already preloaded in your mind. So they're so open ended that something's going to come of that. You just have several questions, even if they're harder to talk to, have 10, 12 questions memorized in your mind that you can ask to anybody. And then from there, you probably won't even make it to question 3 because you'll still be talking about something that branched off from question 1.
Mm,
One of those things that I tell people is just, hey, have some preloaded things that you can ask everyone. And it makes the conversation easier because people are not confident in something because they're not prepared. So whenever you're prepared for something, even a conversation, it's going to be infinitely easier to initiate that.
yeah, absolutely. What? So I know you gave me the example of, are you from here? Are you married? Do you have kids? What are some other questions you'd ask?
Yeah. So where'd you go to high school? Why'd you get in the industry you're in? Do you enjoy it? What's the most valuable piece of advice you ever gotten? Just random stuff that I'll
Mm,
pull. One that I love to ask, especially whenever people are from Chattanooga or have lived in Chattanooga, is, hey, if you had family coming in from Oregon and they were staying the weekend, where are you going to take them to breakfast, lunch, and dinner? That question has sparked so many great conversations.
Mm.
Just getting to know where they want to go. Why do they want to go there? Do they prefer like a calmer atmosphere? Are they going to take them to Whiskey Cowgirl? I don't know. That question's been one that I try to pull out at least once in conversation, especially if they're from here. And it's weird. I feel like food's one of those things that kind of brings people together, and it's cool to see, okay, they like this place. Oh my gosh, have you tried their steak? Have you tried their shrimp? And then just so many things pinball into that. What part of town do you live in? How long have you been living there? Where do you want to end up living? What are your goals? One of the lenders I ended up meeting with, I think it was maybe 2 weeks after I got into the industry, gave me an acronym whenever you're talking to people to use, and it was FROG. It was friends, recreational, organizational, and goals. So if you just follow that outline, he said, you will have incredible conversations. You'll never run out of anything to talk about.
So run me through how that works.
Yeah. So friends, let's say that you went to a certain high school here in town. I probably know someone of them, or if you're from a certain city, hey, I know this person. Do you know them? More likely than not, you're going to have at least someone that's connected, whether it be distantly or whatever. Ask them about that. Friends and family. The F could be family as well. Ask them those, how many spouses, or not how many spouses, how many kids, how many family members are in town, just stuff like that. And then recreational, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? Do you like to fish, hunt? Do you like to CrossFit? Not a lot of people do. Organizational, are you involved in the community? Do you go to church? Is there any nonprofit that you represent here in town, or is there one you want to get connected to? And then goals. Where do you want to be in 10 years? What does your life look like in 5 years? Who's your hero? Who's your mentor? If you follow that, especially whenever you get down to the G and goals, that conversation's gotten real. Because whenever you start talking about goals with people, that's when you're really peeling back that onion and getting very intentional with this other person sitting across the table.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great framework. So
Yeah.
hopefully some people steal it.
Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay. So do you do a lot of meetings in person? Do you do a lot of meetings on Zoom? What does your outline typically look like for when you get that meeting, when someone finally says yes?
Yeah. So if at all possible, I want to meet in person, because there's a lot that you can tell about someone in person, especially if you're meeting with someone that could potentially be a business relationship in the future. Do I want to introduce my circle to this person? I'm talking, how are they sitting in their chair? What does their posture look like? Did they look me in the eye the entire time? I want to know everything about you. So I want to meet you in person. I want to know how you respond to some of my questions. How long did it take you to come up with an answer to this deep question? Did it take that long because they didn't know and they just made some BS up? Stuff like that. And that's stuff you can't really get. You can get it over the phone a little bit with their tonality and everything, but you can't get their posture and their mannerisms. I want to see the whole picture because I want to get deep. You can't get as deep over the phone or just over Zoom or DMing, which Zoom, I started using it a little more, especially during COVID. It's not my favorite platform, but if it's necessary, if someone's in Oregon and I need to meet with them, then I'm going to hop on the phone or Zoom. But if at all possible, especially for a business relationship, I'm going to meet you in person. If it's Atlanta, Nashville, we can meet. I'll drive.
Wow. What you just said is incredibly advanced, I think, past our age. Because how old are you again? You're 24.
24.
Yeah, I'm 23. Most people our age just want the instant, oh, I sent a message and it's good now.
Yep.
A meeting takes time. You have to go and drive and spend money on gas and coffee and whatever.
100%.
And I think what you just said is so far ahead mindset wise. Like something that really stuck out to me was you're sizing that person up.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing if you want to work with them and they're doing the same thing. But most of the time, I know like when I was in sales, I wasn't in that mindset. I was thinking like, are these people going to sign up for a policy or are they not?
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't about, oh, are these people that I want to do business with?
Yeah.
It was about like, how do I get them to do business with me?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think led to that revelation coming to you so young of saying, I want to get to know these people and I want to see if there's someone who I want to bring in rather than the other way around?
Probably reading and podcasts. I think where that that switch flipped was probably about 2 months or 3 months when I got into the industry. I guess reading books and listening to podcasts was more about the strategy of things more than, okay, you're doing this, but here's how you do it and the why, really. Just listening to these people that have been in positions that started out just like me, but they're 40, 50 years down the road. What do they wish they would have done, or wish how they would have done it that would have translated to a more successful them now, or just being more intentional with people? So once I started just trying to learn more, really just reaching out to all the sources that I could, reading a book about this, listening to a podcast about this, watching a YouTube video about that, talking to this person about this, is when that mindset really flipped. Hey, if I want to be like these people are one day, I got to start doing what they did. And it was a lot of that, a lot of things that I had seen. Okay, there's commonalities between all these people and how they did things. If I can just mesh all this together and do exactly what they do and just put my own twist on it, I'm probably going to be A-okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned your faith and that being a huge aspect of your life. For me, it's the ultimate connection is the Lord connects us all together. What would you say was like, is there a time you think of where there was is an answered prayer?
I would say probably finding where I'm working now. That was one of those things that obviously I was playing college football. I had that pipe dream that I was going to the NFL. I realized real quick, whenever you're not starting as a junior and not as a senior, you're probably going to need to find something else. So from there, I had really leaned into the word and leaned into God. Hey, I don't really know what I want to do forever. I thought I was going to be a professional football player. That's fizzling out. And I'm just glad that I realized a lot quicker than a lot of my friends did, because a lot of them got to senior year, graduated, and that was that. Then they just had to pick up the pieces. But for me, I was able to get in with some guys that were deep in the word, and I was able to do that as well. And it showed me kind of the path. Hey, it doesn't really matter what you end up doing. It just matters how you end up doing it. And get into one of those positions that you can connect with a lot of people. Obviously, insurance is one of those industries that to be successful at it, you got to talk to a lot of people. And if you want to be a successful Christian, you got to talk to a lot of people about the word. So it just went hand in hand. And I was like, okay, like this is what I'm being called to do. So now I have the pieces, the kind of the road work foundation, if you will, to go do that, just perfectly lined up. It was just one of those things. I got them with the right people at the right time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. We're at time here. I love to ask this question to all of my guests. If you had to think of a person or a group, maybe of people, that getting connected to them really just changed your outlook on everything in your business and life, who would that be?
Yeah. So it'd be my 6 a.m. CrossFit group. 100%. It's one of those things I try to tell people. Everybody thinks CrossFit's kind of cultish. It is a little bit. I'm sure everybody's got their thoughts on that, but something about a lot of people getting up really early in the morning and doing something that they don't want to do and competing at that thing is magical. It is awesome. It gets you in a mindset that you would not believe after you do that, and you are ready to freaking go. And just being around people that also have that mindset, and I know that they're about to go crush it. So in order for me to continue to be with this group, I am called to go crush it too, because I know if I don't, they're going to ask me about it. So it's just a huge accountability group. Me and several of my other buddies that I probably connected you with as well, we get up and go do it because we know what's going to happen whenever we start our day that way. It's just a beautiful thing. Start off workout and then get into the word. And now I hate it when I miss a CrossFit workout. Even if I'm really tired, I want to continue to go because it's just that important to the beginning of my day.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. Kohl, where can people find you if they want to reach out, if they have questions, or if they got some value out of this and want to let you know about it?
Yeah, 100%. So they can reach out to me, DM me, like I was saying. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, phone as well. So the Instagram and Facebook are going to be Kohl, Kohl _ Henke, Henke. And then the LinkedIn is just Kohl Henke all together.
All right. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. One favor I ask of you guys is if you got value out of this episode or any of the previous episodes, it means the world to me if you'd leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps get the word out there. And if you share it with one person, we can double the size of this podcast. So I hope you got value out of this. If you did, please let me know, and hope to meet you guys soon. Have a good day.